All right, let's touch base with the management of SchaefflerIndia. Merger of the INA bearings and Luke India with the company is a key trigger for why we are discussing with the management right now. Growth in automotive as well as industrial segments is something that we want to ascertain as well. And the outlook for revenue and margins will be key too. Dharmesh Arora, who's the CEO of SchaefflerIndia, joins in with his perspective. Dharmesh, good to have you on the show. Take us through the highlight of this earnings. What were the few key things that stood out for you?
So we just announced the Q3 results ending September 30th, 2017. And SchaefflerIndia Limited total income was 510 crore for the quarter, which is 7.4% higher than the immediately previous quarter, the Q2 2017, and 4.2% higher than the Q3 2016.
The outlook for margins then, Dharmesh?
So we have been able to maintain the margin that we had in Q2. Our EBT for the Q3 ending 2017 was at 17.8%, but when you compare it to 2016 for the same period, we have been able to improve the margin by 1.3 percentage points. The sales mix driven by the higher sales as well as some of the favorable mix we had compared to the 2016 has been able for us to lead to this improved performance.
Majority of revenues come from the automotive segment and around 25% from industrial category. Will that remain your product mix?
Well, actually, SchaefflerIndia Limited's business, 75% of the business comes from industrial sectors, and that includes things like railways, steel mills, wind power plants, and a large distribution business spread across the country. And 25% business comes from automotive, where we are supplying to all the major OEMs, be it in the space of commercial vehicles, passenger cars, or two-wheelers. And this mix, is a pretty healthy mix, and we have been able to maintain that, in the past, and with the fast growth that the automotive industry is experiencing, probably I may see over the couple of years as a legal entity alone, the mix might shift a little bit towards the automotive.
Now that you've merged the two entities, INA Bearings as well as Luke India with yourself, what are the revenue expectations of the combined entity?
So if you look at the combined entity's performance over the last some years, we have been able to grow at about 10% CAGR for the last 4 or 5 years. Now with the combined entity and the strengths and the synergy it brings in, we anticipate that there is absolutely no reason as to why we cannot just maintain this kind of performance going forward, but hopefully be able to improve upon that.
You mentioned the new entity will have 3,570 crores revenues and 4 plants. How do you plan to achieve this revenue growth?
So 2016, as a pro forma basis, the company had the revenue of 3,600 crores. And with the performance so far in the first 9 months of the year, the same pro forma based entity has grown at the rate of about 10.3% so far for the 9 months, which has been our historic performance for the last some years. And with the fillip that the infrastructure projects, the railways and renewable energy, etc., are gaining, some of the GST-related transitional impact now finally subsiding, the automotive industry seeing good uptake, we see that there should be a bright futures or bright quarters coming forward to us.
Right. What are your capex plans for the company, and will you look to raise funds?
Well, the good thing is that the SchaefflerIndia Limited is, has the cash on its book, and we can fund our capex requirement from our internal accruals going forward. But the commitment we are making is that we are enhancing our capex outlay as a combined entity in the years to come. Typically, in the past years, as a combined entity, we have invested somewhere between 16 to 20 million euros of capex each year. Now, we want to enhance that capex investment for the next couple of years by going up to between 40 and 50 million euro each year in the next 2 years. And most of that will come from our own internal accruals.
Do you think in the near term, in view of new emission standards and other changing consumer behaviors in the vehicle segment, that the growth potential for the automotive segment looks very robust?
Yes, it does. Of course, as you rightly said, the BS6 emission norms are going to be implemented in 2020, for which most of our customers will be upgrading their powertrain to meet these new emission requirements. And we got technical solutions which can help customers meet those new emission standards by improving the combustion efficiency in the powertrain. Similarly, we got solutions both in transmission and chassis areas, which again improve the efficiency of the complete powertrain system, helping customers meet these new stringent requirements.
There is, of course, some concern for minority shareholders of multinational companies such as yourself. The threat really is of direct competition from another company or companies owned by the same promoter. There are plenty of examples where new growth opportunities have landed in the other subsidiary. What message would you like to give to shareholders on that front?
Well, clearly, you will not find a better example than what we are setting. We are merging two listed entities into, or rather, two unlisted entities into the listed entity. So the surviving entity of the Schaeffler organization will be one strong automotive and industrial supplier, which will continue to be listed on both BSE and National Stock Exchange. So in some ways, you can say that the Schaeffler Group's interest and the minority shareholders' interest are completely aligned here, and we are setting a precedent here by really bringing all the value into the listed entity.
What kind of revenue and margin growth then can we see for the company in FY 18-19?
So like I said, in the past we have grown at about 10% level as a combined entity, and we expect that the merger, will go through all the regulatory approvals in the months to come, and by third quarter of 2018, we will complete the merger, from which time we can then have the consolidated numbers available. But again, based on the various positive developments happening both on the infrastructure side or automotive side, we are fully, we fully see that the past growth figures will certainly be enhanced.